Sheriff Riggs is with us. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
Thanks for stopping by. Well, you guys are busy this week, huh?
Yeah, this is a crazy week for us. It's Police Week, National Police Week. We did not hold our memorial this year in light of I got invited to Red Lake on Wednesday for their memorial and awards ceremony. So we honored their fallen officers, and then I got to be a part of their awards ceremony for life-saving and years of service. So it was a good change for us.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah, something different.
And Police Week, I suppose you got stuff going on all week. What's going on today?
Boy, that's a good question. Nothing. Nothing as far as Police Week goes that I'm aware of.
But did you say cop on a rooftop?
Oh, that is going on today, yes. That is completely different. The cop on a rooftop right now is for the Special Olympics.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so right now you can come down to, I think we're at Duncan. We are at Duncan. And they are
literally on the roof?
No, I don't think so.
That's good.
I've done that before. Top of a grocery store, Memorial Weekend.
Yeah. I would not be on a rooftop. We'll be down there today from now until 11. I know they started earlier than that, but all the proceeds today are going to Special Olympics.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
What was last Friday like for you guys with everything that was going around with preparations of fishing opener, a bunch of trucks and boats and all that, graduation at BSU and all the traffic that entails, and hey, let's have a wildfire in Wilton.
Oh, it's crazy how, everybody talks about Beltrami County is so big, and we see so many cops. Well, you might see cops in one particular area at any given time, but 3,056 square miles and over 200 lakes is very difficult to cover with 6 people.
Right.
So when you have a fire in Wilton that occupies,
Everybody,
and don't get me wrong, I love my firefighter brothers. We like to give each other grief all the time. Sure. But you show me a fire department that can all park on one side of a highway, so we don't have to direct traffic, and I'll retire a happy man.
Right.
So, no, we do a lot of stuff when it comes to those kinds of things. We help evacuate, homes, get the word passed, and then in addition to that, we end up doing a lot of traffic control and for water trucks coming and going. So it gets very, very dicey as it pertains to, the fire itself is dangerous, but you got all these responders and things going on. You got to be very with it to kind of understand what's, you don't just sit back and do one thing. You got to kind of keep your eye on 14 different things that are happening at once, so you stay safe. But then in addition to that, you're also listening to the radio, and you're kind of judged. Is this fire going to come at me? Do I need to be moving? Those are kind of the what ifs. But
safe to assume it was a good thing that was Friday, and the lake was empty of boats, as opposed to Saturday with a full lake of boats and getting a plane to scoop up some water.
Yes, there is that. Sheriff Beidel will attest to that. One year he was out there trying to move people away from the targeted drop zone where the planes were coming in and scooping up water. We give him grief because he damaged the $250 prop on our boat. Rookie. No, I'm just kidding.
You're the sheriff. You can say that.
We can say that, yeah. If he's listening right now, he's chuckling because he knows it. So we gave him a coaching plan. It was
sure.
Yeah.
If there is a fire and boaters do see planes circling around the lake they're on, what should they do? Go to shore?
Yeah, move closer to the shore and open up the space, because the plane needs a long ways to come down in safely, so they're not, obviously not buzzing people, but it would be the appropriate thing to do is stay out of their path, make a big wide berth for them so that they can come down and do what they have to do. And not a lot of lakes can, if a helicopter comes in, obviously they're a little bit more direct. They're just dipping a bag into the lake. But, a plane that's got a belly scoop on it is going to take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
So.
That's amazing.
It is. It's very, very cool to watch.
Well, you say you have a handful of deputies, over 3,000 square miles?
Over 3,000 square miles.
So the community is part of your, right? People calling in and just communicating and.
Absolutely. We can't do it without the community. So if you see, I'll give you a perfect case in point. The other day, we got a call from somebody who was out cleaning ditches, and they found bones. Well, that instantly, like, it'd be one thing if you saw a carcass that resembled a deer, right? But when you just find scattered bones, people call those things in. We go out and look. We have professionals that come out and look with us. Some of our folks are trained in that kind of stuff, and they can determine, and these were determined to be animal bones. They're not human. But we can't be everywhere, obviously, and so it's important for, when the public sees things, to let us know. So, and crime prevention, the citizens are our best asset, because, even if you don't have a formalized, community watch, or back in remember the old days, the old, what was it?
McGruff?
Had the eye on the door. You'd mark your house with the eye on the door.
Yeah.
And
Community Crime Watch.
Yeah, Community Crime Watch. Well, you don't have to have an organized version of that. Just be good neighbors to one another. And if you see something that doesn't seem right, call your neighbor or call us. We'll gladly come out and check into something that's going on. A lot of times, even if it's like somebody's on someone's property and you don't see, a hard hat, or you don't see a vest, or you see whatever. A lot of times, there's assessors out there. There's people that are out checking meters. There's all kinds of stuff. But would you rather be safe than sorry?
Right.
Yes. And we don't have a problem with that. If you see someone that says, cooperative development or Beltrami Electric, and they're walking around on someone's property, that's probably not something we need to be concerned about, but you never know.
What else is... How busy was last weekend? It was so nice.
It was beautiful. Very busy. Obviously, you talked a little bit about the wildfire in Wilton. We've had 5 others additionally, most of which have been up in the northern portion of our county. I shouldn't say full north, but Alaska Township, or Alaska Fire, has been utilized quite a bit in the last 2 weeks. So it is very, very dry out there. Be very, very careful. Even doing tasks that you wouldn't think. Don't park on grass with the hot vehicle. When you're cutting your lawn, make sure if you've got a mower that runs hot, make sure your spark arresters are, on your mufflers, or don't, like, a lot of people will remove those from their chainsaws and their lawnmowers, because when they carbon up, they don't run the best. But when it's dry out like this, they're designed for a reason, because your muffler does throw sparks even if you can't see them. And those kinds of things have set off wildfires. Grills, pellet grills, that walk away and come back to it. Mm-hmm. You might walk away and not come back to anything. So be very careful when you're grilling. Yeah.
How come you were looking directly at me when you said that?
Schulte, you've got a lot of grilling experience. Not that I would ever point the finger at you of being negligent with your grill, but.
Well, I'll admit, the first time I tried to start my grill off of the app on my phone and it wouldn't let me, I was like, well, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to light this thing with the cover on and it pushed up right up against the house.
Wow,
I'm like, yeah, somebody did, so that's why this feature is not allowed.
Yep.
What about fishing opener? A lot of boats, a lot of fisher people up?
Yeah, some lakes saw a little bit more than others. I heard a lot of traffic up on Red. I heard a lot of traffic up on Lake of the Woods. I personally did not see Lake Bemidji, so I don't know what the traffic was like out there. But
typical.
I talked to Carl up at Timberline, and they've been pretty busy up north. Mm-hmm. So I think we had a pretty decent fishing opener. I was listening to the fish reports, and sounds like guys were doing really well.
Mm-hmm. Caught them.
Is it safe for my stereotype of the average fisher person in Minnesota that, yeah, we had several thousand people immediately flock to northern Minnesota?
Oh, yeah.
But the fisher people don't really cause a whole lot of problems?
No. The early season like this, people are very careful still. I mean, we did have a warmer than average fishing opener. I actually got sunburnt on Saturday.
Wow.
But it was only like 73 degrees, I think. But that's still pretty warm for fishing opener. I mean,
It usually snows.
yeah, I was going to say, I've had fishing openers where you're in the boat freezing to death.
Right.
73 was pretty nice and warm. And then it just got hot, so right after that.
Just waiting for somebody to say, hey, should we go in? Yeah.
I should have went in an hour earlier.
Not
than
going to
I did.
say it.
Or been smart and worn sunscreen.
Right.
I wore sunscreen Saturday. I should have reapplied it several times. and
That's
I
my
didn't.
problem, too, is I just don't
Yes.
reapply.
Well, you start out with good intentions.
Right.
Yesterday's storm cause any issues?
Some trees down, light that I could tell. The hail, we had hail at my place. I was on my way back into the office and had to pull under a great big pine tree, which did provide me some protection, but we're just scratching the surface with the rain, unfortunately. We need a bunch more. But yeah, the wind the wind actually over the last 4 or 5 days has been pretty significant. So we've heard of some trees coming down.
Yeah, I saw one that was down this morning on my way into work. It was an old one. Blew over.
Yeah, typically the healthy ones survive most of the 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts. It's usually the dead parts that break out of them. You know, typically when we get the straight line winds of 60, 70, 80, that's when we start looking at trees actually bending over and doing damage to healthy things. So,
Well, good.
yeah.
Anything exciting coming out? Oh, Memorial Weekend. Next weekend.
It's hard to believe that's here already.
Oh, it is hard to believe that that's here.
It's early, they say.
Yeah. Lots of people in the area, lots of visitors fishing now. Then we've got the opener, camping. We're still not out of fire danger, so obviously, you know, in your weekend travels, if you're going to be enjoying yourself, make sure that you're being responsible, not only with driving, but responsible with the fire. Campfires, I think, are about the only things that are still allowed.
They're still discouraged.
They're still discouraged, yep. And I don't know what the state park's rules on that are, but if you're going to be camping, make sure you get permission to have a campfire.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that person.
Right.
No.
Ruin your weekend.
Yes, wildfires do start by lightning, but most of them by stupid people.
Correct.
Well, on that note, Sheriff, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks.